There are 10 laws that you should implement in your relationship and structuring the boundaries in a relationship. There are different situations that you'll come across. Maybe you have a husband that is controlling, or maybe he's self absorbed and having trust issues, and maybe his partner is having intimacy issue with him with unrealistic expectations, but you're not aware of that. Similarly, a woman can have spending issues, or she can be so controlling in a relationship that she is not realizing. So both parties can have different aspects, different relationship issues, and creating different situations in a relationship that they both are unaware of, or even if they're aware of that, they are unaware of the resolution. So for that part, you have to implement these 10 laws. We'll be discussing in parts. So let's discuss part 1. The law number 1 is sowing and reaping. As we've been hearing from the very childhood, as you sow, so shall you reap. This is one part. This law defines us that when loving people will be withdrawing from us or drawing towards us. So, depending on our input inside the relationship, we will be having unloving people even withdrawing from us. So you have to understand whatever you're putting inside the relationship, that energy will be reciprocated. So it doesn't mean reciprocation doesn't mean that in place of love you will receive love only. Means it does mean that because the law of the nature is so powerful and it is beyond normal human understanding. That is why I say always we have to take out the superhuman inside us. We all are superhumans and we are gods with small g. So it's down to us if we take out that power. So to understand, you have to understand reciprocity doesn't mean if we love to our partner and they will be loving back to us. If the other partner is having negative energy, they will be withdrawn from us automatically, and the nature will not let us suffer that long. You will see the relationship reciprocity effect. So you have to put the positive energy, and that will make sure that loving people are drawn to us and unloving people are withdrawn from us because of that sowing and reaping. The second beautiful law is law of responsibility. This law dictates, I use the word dictates, means we have to learn the hard lesson here that responsibility is the main thing that we run away from as humans. And this teaches us love and care. This shows to the other partner our love and care because we are fulfilling the responsibility towards them. The word is towards them, not on them, towards them. That shows them that we care, we do love. So, what happens with responsibility comes a huge burden as well because we have to draw the boundary for responsibility. We have to know what are our responsibilities, but while doing the responsibility we are not crossing the lines, we are not crossing the boundaries in relationship, we are not taking control of the other person's life. We have to understand that is why drawing boundaries shows love, care, plus we are not in a position where we start crossing the boundaries and then we start controlling the other person. We have to give them the freedom. This is a very beautiful line I have to read out from my beautiful notes that I have written here. This law says we are responsible to each other, but not for each other. So we are fulfilling our responsibilities towards each other because of our love and relationship, but not for each other. We are not controlling them. So we are not there for them, towards them. That, in fact, more strengthens the relationship and gives the flexibility and openness for each other. Law number 3, a very important law and a beautiful law of power. Law of power initially in a relationship tells us about two things: what we have power on and what we don't have power on. Let's talk about the things we don't have power on. We do not have power on anyone's attitude and behavior and feelings. We are the one only, in fact, not able to control our behaviors even. We cannot make anyone think a certain way or behave a certain way. We cannot control their attitude, but we do want to control. That's a surge we have in our mind, in our body, in our feelings always. This is where we have to understand what we don't have the power on. In fact, most of us do not have the power on ourselves to change ourselves. We always do what we hate to do with ourselves. We don't have any composure on our daily habits. We don't have our control on our eating habits even to control a diet. So how can we expect others to feel and see the way we want when we cannot control ourselves and we do not want to behave the way we want? So these are the things when we understand. This is a very beautiful line here, that we all do what we hate to do. So better to understand these weaknesses of spouse. Why do we need to understand this part, that we don't have control on these things same way our spouse don't have control of these things, the way they are behaving? This way we understand their weaknesses, where they are struggling. If we are struggling to control our diet even, then how can we expect to from us a person to change as a whole? They are struggling. That is why we have to understand where they don't have the power on themselves even. If we understand that part, we will be helping our partner into their struggle even. Now let's talk about what you have power on. That is where we feel strengthful. We have power on three things. Very important. I have written down for notes. To repent, we have power to submit, we have power to identify problems. These are the three things we have power on. So why don't we use our strengths? We have the power on these things. We can repent, we can submit, we can identify the problems, working together on them then. But if you start thinking that there is something your partner is doing to hurt you always and making you into trouble or feeling bad, you do the same thing to your partner. You are making trouble for your partner as well and making them feel bad as well the same way. But you don't want to identify your part and submit to that. And you don't want to work on them. So, last part in this third law is that nothing is more conducive to a spouse. This is very important. Nothing is more conducive to a spouse than a mate that sincerely wants to change. You will have no better quality and more attractive to your partner if you are willing to change and showing them that you're working on a change towards your partner. You're doing things for them against your will, against your power even. So you're working on yourself. That makes them, or makes you the most romantic other side. Use this power. Why don't we use this power? And because we are fallen into our false egos and we don't understand the concept of boundaries. Hopefully that made sense and you learned a lot. Please subscribe. And if you don't want to learn, again, your loss. Thank you very much.